Hey, welcome to From the Baseline with Premier Basketball, and we appreciate you tuning in. My name is Mark Williams. I'm Global Scout with Premier Basketball, and we're excited to bring you back another episode of From the Baseline. And apologize for the hiatus we took there at the beginning of April to now for a variety of reasons we had to take it. And so, but we're excited to be back. We're excited to bring you this episode. In this episode, we actually recorded it and it was long, and so we've split it, and so we're going to upload one episode today and one tomorrow from just this one recording. And so this episode, we're going to review Prime Event West that happened this past weekend. We appreciate all the teams coming out, and the competition was really solid. A ton of players from all the classes, and so Shane and Jason and I were all in Phoenix. So we had the opportunity to take it all in. And so we're going to share with you our thoughts, players that stood out, matchups that we enjoyed. And so we're going to take a quick break. And after this, we'll be joined by the whole crew.
Like, ride with me if you ride with me, you can slide with me if you feel like. Ride with me if you ride with me, you can slide with me if you feel like. Yeah, that's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? Hey.
I'm not asking for much. I'm just asking you to lock in for 3 straight games. All right, you got 2 games and a half. We come down here for 4 really good, intense games. That's not hard. We come down here to do something special. Lock in and do it, all right? Lock up, let's go, let's go.
Finish on 3, 1, 2, 3, finish.
Hey, PG.
Everybody here, right now. You gotta understand that things are gonna go wrong.
Hey, Jay.
You gotta understand shots gonna go in and out. That's how the cookie crumbles sometimes. But this you can't replace. You gotta understand, it gotta come from here.
Every time we've done it,
you gotta have a sense of urgency.
We're getting to the ring.
That's it, and that's all. It's about heart, y'all. Effort. We need the bench involved. We need all that. So what we gonna do? How we gonna come out of it?
Keep playing with energy and keep getting one shot, box out hard, and let's run.
Y'all gotta want it.
On track, now we going way up. W U C as a layup. Fucking let's stay up. Counting all the way up. Counting blessings, yeah, you know we pray up. On track, now we going way up. Now we going way up. Now we going. On track, now we going way up. Now we going way up. Now we going.
Hey, welcome to From the Baseline with Premier Basketball. I'm Mark Williams and joined by Shane Laflin and Jason Key. We appreciate you tuning in. We had a little break from the Baseline during the craziness of the spring, and we're excited to get back and bring you another episode. We're going to talk about Prime Event West that happened this last weekend in Phoenix, catch up on our thoughts from the spring, and then a little highlight into July. And then we're going to touch on a topic that we've discussed quite a bit, and thought let's bring this to an episode as we talk about it, but just the value of scholarships and what that means. So, but we appreciate you tuning in. So fellas, we were all in Phoenix this weekend for the Prime Event West. Overall, Shane, how did you think the event went?
I was really pleased with it. I mean, we had a little bit of a curveball to no one's fault with the California high school playoff situation. So we lost a number of teams to that, which, is not a bad thing. That means that players were winning. So, no hard feelings, and it just is what it is. When we scheduled everything out, California hadn't declared a season, and people thought crazy California wasn't going to have a season. And,
right.
And I kind of say that tongue in cheek. I mean, it sounds like the coaches, they're supportive of the players, but it just sounds like they try to cram some stuff in, and, we wish them the best, but it would have been nice to have them there. But, you want to play some high school basketball too, I guess. But it was, it condensed everything, but I still thought the matchups, which is what we're looking for, were fantastic. And we had a lot of really good players. And then it allowed us to watch some of the young ones more maybe than we would have had we had more teams there. So, it turns out how it is. And then obviously it's great to have all of us in one place so we can get eyes elsewhere and schedule our day two, based on what you saw, what Jay saw, what I saw, et cetera. And then it's just cool to have all of us in one spot. And then obviously Joey's team was there. Shell came through. So it was good to have, a lot of the crew there.
Absolutely. Jay, what was your favorite matchup from the weekend?
That would be Jason Kidd selects. Thinking this through.
This is live.
Yeah, it'd be Jason Kidd. Yeah, I know. It'd be Jason Kidd select Northwest Greyhounds.
Okay.
I think about it, I fought with Jason Kidd and Joey too, but I've seen so much of Joey's team. So it was those are two teams I haven't seen as much of, and obviously the 2 point guards there going at it. We got them really close in the rankings there early on in the 23s. So I love Malia Samuels, really skilled, puts the ball in the hole. And then Savia Sellers is the consummate point guard. So two West Coast 23s that are really good, matched up, went at it. Pretty even teams. I mean, obviously the Jason Kidd group is a little bit older overall than the Greyhounds, but they both have a really good mix of pieces. And it was a great game, and really, really well matched up across the board beyond the point guards.
There you go. What about you, Jay? I'm sorry, Jay. Shane?
Let's see. Just for the excitement of the game and the way it went, Team Lex versus Greyhounds was a lot of fun. The Greyhounds.
Overtime?
Yeah, double overtime. Malia Samuels hits like a 3-runner.
Crazy shot.
Cash at the buzzer to send it to OT. So just as far as the excitement of the game and the quality of play, and then we hadn't seen that closely the Greyhounds. I watched them in Atlanta, but they didn't get that kind of comp. And so they kind of overwhelmed some teams. So to see those guys have to compete against a group that we're obviously pretty familiar with. Right. So I would say that was that. I mean, of the games I watched, that was that whole pool was fun. The top 17 pool was a lot of fun, but that one was exciting because the teams had, those first games of events that you actually legitimately travel to,
right.
You got to kind of get your legs underneath you. And then, Joey's team tends to, act like they just rolled out of bed to start games and start tournaments, which annoys the hell out of me. But, and then the Greyhounds were coming for their necks. And I like it because the Greyhounds are young and they came for necks right away. And so they deserve a lot of credit for that. And it was fun.
Yeah, there was a nice little friendly wager over the weekend, and I can't remember. I think somebody called it pretty close. I think it was by 4 points.
I called it by 5 and it was by 4. I was close.
But no, you got bailed out as that free throw. You call the foul with like 0.6 left. So a lot of fun. I got the opportunity. All that top, grouping was really, really competitive. Another interesting, just a matchup that I got to see was Montana Dew with Vegas Bulldogs and Meadow Rowland from Fresno Lady Heat. And I've been hearing good things about Meadow and her development, her high school season, and two players that just squared off, and it was a lot of fun to watch as they both have really developed over the year, and seen them grow. So it'll be interesting to see them in July, when both teams are at full staff. And then another one, a young one that I got to see and really enjoyed just from a team matchup, is Team Forbes took on Lady Jets, Lewis, and man, it was a competitive game back and forth, and just youngsters. When you get to watch youngsters who are just playing and having fun and competing, the energy and the excitement is there, and you saw players on both sides making plays, and so some really good 25s, 26s. The future is coming there late, and it was
Either one of those teams have any back down in them, like the Jets. The Jets just don't have back down, and then that was my first look at Forbes and Ava Rollins, and she's got no back down in her. And I mean, they're young kids, so they show some immaturity holes sometimes, but they bounce back and they want to compete.
Absolutely.
The other thing that I really liked about the event is we had some really quality coaching.
Mm-hmm.
Because we're sometimes in the smaller venue, you kind of hear their game prep and you could kind of hear their timeouts. And at these bigger events, obviously there's a lot of, there's the whole spectrum of play, but there was no angry coaching this weekend. There was strategic coaching. There was growth. There was all right, here's why we lost. But there was not some of the stuff that I see that I don't necessarily like in terms of mentorship and stuff like that. Game plan, I hear coaches calling out different ball screen coverages, different changing of defenses, game management towards the end of a few games, coming off the whiteboard, executing things. That part was really fun for me.
Absolutely.
So hats off to those guys. And again, we always want to say we appreciate people coming. We've got some nice messages I've been sharing in the group text or whatever from some people, you just that quality. I think those matchups, the people know that they're going to get the good matchups, so they can talk about the preparation, and that mentality of preparation translates. So that's one of the reasons why we want to do this, is so you kind of know that you better show up right,
Absolutely.
And so I want to thank those coaches for being such good leaders, because they did a really good job.
They did. All right, one player from the weekend that stuck out. Jay, what you got? Only one.
You all right?
She's already committed, but I'd have to go with Amaya Bonner at Cal. Who's a Cal commit for Jason. Jason Kidd Select. I mean, she's really developed an overall game. Really springy. The three ball's nice. The mid range has really come along. And then obviously she attacks to the hole, gets to the free throw line. Really good. I thought too, a lot of growth just watching her communicate from where she was earlier in the spring when I saw him to now. You can tell that she's learned her teammates and that kind of thing. Was directing traffic defensively. I was really impressed with that. And I see a lot of growth in all aspects with her. Going to be a really, really good player in the Pac-12.
And she's healthy. I mean,
that's been the key. That's what Armando says the key is.
It's been huge. Is she's just been physically able to make plays, and you see the confidence, which leads to leadership, and so. How about for you, Shane? One player.
So I'm gonna cheat. So one player is the find of the weekend is Olivia Edwards. The player I really enjoyed watching all weekend was Tegan Brown.
Mm.
So Olivia Edwards is a 2026, not fine because we were aware, but to really watch her play on that level I mean, and I think it goes without explaining, like I'm not the early hype guy in any stretch. I think we'll find that out when we talk about the scholarship value later. But just the way in which she competes and obviously her physical gifts, like, yeah, I don't know, I can't call every school in the country and tell them like she could play for you right now, but it was a lot of fun to watch her. And then from warm-ups when she was getting above the rim trying to punch it to, her going to get boards on everybody's heads. You just and they're coached hard. They're playing 17U kid. Like it's one thing like be up as an 8th grader. She's not even an 8th grader yet. Like I can't imagine a middle school game next year. People on the other end warming up and they're like,
she's punching it.
She's punching it. Like in 8th grade, we tripped out if a dude punched it at the other end.
Yeah.
Right? So like, we're like, all right. So that was really cool. And then she's just understated. She's focused. There's not a lot going on. I'm sure she's been told how great she's gonna be, and like that's all positive. But she doesn't carry herself like that. Where a lot of these young ones that have been told how good they are, they're already carrying it, and that is actually detrimental to their development, which no one believes you until 5 years down the road. But again, if you had to make me pick one player, I'm gonna go with the rising senior. And I loved watching Tegan Brown play all weekend. She's athletic, she's poised, she knocks down shots, defensively communicates like that. Again, very well coached team. Another thing I kind of noticed trend wise was like a lot of these West Coast schools play with shot clocks, which means they value playing defense without fouling, and they know they've got to move the ball to get good shots, and it helps the game.
Yeah.
And so these teams move the ball and they get good shots, and it just makes for better basketball. And like, it doesn't mean all these teams are more talented than some of the teams we see on it, maybe a weekly basis here, but they play a better brand of basketball because they don't want to foul, because they don't want to start that shot clock over, or they've got to move it early to get a good shot. So like that Jason Kidd team, I mean, they're a good passing team. I don't think you can be called Jason Kidd select if you don't pass the ball well. But it starts with the point guard. It starts with Tegan, the leadership. It starts with Amaya, the leadership. Like I said, I didn't get to watch a ton of her at Heart of Texas, but I got to watch all their games this weekend. And like, I'm in.
Olivia Edwards is a follow-up to Shane. Had my favorite moment of the weekend. She was celebrating a teammate who had a block from behind, and she jumps and literally almost jumped over everybody, celebrating her teammate in the moment. Like, not even, she's like, just what a block
Wait
type
for her to come back
situation.
down so they can get the ball playing again.
And all I could look at was the vertical. I mean, the scout in me came out, and I was like, what is that? So awesome. The other part on Shane in focusing on Olivia from this aspect that they do a great job of at the Greyhounds is they really hold her accountable. So she's young, and a lot of times when I see that young playing up, they let them play through mistakes and that kind of thing, and there's nothing wrong with that. But she has a short hook.
Yeah,
they pull her a lot. They coach her more than they play her.
Right.
And it doesn't change her motor. It doesn't change her effort.
Right. You don't see that very often, though. You don't see them holding a young player accountable and being able to coach them more than you actually physically play them. And so there's a lot of teaching going on.
How valuable it is to not allow the development of bad habits.
Absolutely.
Yep.
And you see that sometimes with the raw players from overseas. Like Mark, you brought that up. This is like, they might be a little raw, but the thing they haven't done is develop bad habits. So you get them in, you teach them right, you're not having to unwrite the bad habits. So I see a lot of that in the young ones. Like, Buck's doing a good job.
Absolutely. Well,
I was talking to
a
college coach yesterday about a 23 kid, and I said, and it was I said, I'd rather have no habits than bad habits. I'd rather have an empty chalkboard than have to erase the chalkboard and then restart.
Absolutely.
So
bad habits is very, very hard. Yeah. And that's why I'm so focused on moods not affecting motor, because if that's a habit of yours, and as you transition, good luck.
Yeah
No, that's true. For me, you talked about Northwest Greyhounds and the job that Buck and his coaching staff does. They got another 26, Brooklynn Hayward, who shot the business out of it all weekend. She
Yeah.
was the kid. A kid who I saw multiple times in the fall is Maya Versh with Arizona Elite, who has her game has grown tremendously from the fall to the spring, and super athlete, one man break from the defensive rebound and push and finish, and just her tenacity on the boards on both ends. I mean, she's just fun to watch. She plays hard and competes and plays the right way. One kid that I didn't know anything about and just popped and was impressive for me. Be interested to see her is 2023 Alyssa Jackson for Cal Ballers. Just a physical kid, 5'11", a slasher, attacks the basket, can shoot it, and she does a lot for that team. Typically, a lot of times has to guard the opposing team's 5, but just a great kid who works hard. Be interesting to kind of watch her some more, especially as we get to July. So, but man, can't say enough. Well, we appreciate the teams that we had come through with Private Event West, and it was a great matchup, great games, all up and down the board, and we appreciate everybody coming in and traveling into Phoenix. And we look forward to that event really growing next year once California's high school season is back to normal, and just a lot of good matchups on the West Coast, and where teams get matched up no matter what shoe brand, if you have one or not, and nobody ducks anybody, and really just
East
a place
has set
where
the bar
everybody-
high now.
Do what?
It's a Prime Event East has set the bar high now.
So let's talk a little bit of Prime Event East since you brought it up. If you haven't seen the team list,
get your reading glasses.
Yeah, it is loaded. All shoe brands will be there. Best independents. Pretty much. If you're in the Northeast, and you're not at Prime Event East, I don't know what your excuse is. And we don't want to hear you come ranking time. We don't want to hear you about this or that. Here's your time to come match up. If you want to make any case for a player on your team, and you're in the Northeast, this is an event you have to be at.
You would think there's not a bad avenue. It's just real comp, and it's been on the calendar. It's not a surprise. It proved itself last year.
Right.
And people talk about wanting competition and whatever cliche terms they use for that stuff, but man, you're not going to get a bad game at this thing.
No.
And for your respective level. And so shout out to Matt Shockett and his staff that we partner with these Prime Event things, and just helping us grow that brand and them doing that job. But I think this is, find me a better event in the East this year. I'll wait, because there isn't one. And then Mark, you brought up a good point. If you're out there, everybody's there. Sometimes things are circumstantial. I get it. But if you can get there and you are looking to have an appropriate measuring stick, that's what this is about. It's not, we don't walk in there. I think, as I explained in my text thread, because I felt the need to have a little bit of transparency in this round of rankings. We don't walk into gyms thinking about rankings. We walk into gyms thinking about quality basketball.
Right.
And so we want to create the environment where there's quality basketball everywhere, and you have to show up to compete, to play. And this is one of those things. I mean, we got a small glimpse this weekend. It was very much like that, just condensed.
Right.
This one is just, 300 teams worth. So we'll all be rolling through that one as well. We're taking the whole crew. And then of course, Joey's going to be there because he's bringing his team.
Right.
And you're right. So I don't know anybody majorly significant that's not signed up.
Yeah.
So it's going to be great. So again, thank you guys.
Absolutely.
And we're sometimes travel makes me a little tired. I don't want to go tomorrow, but I'm excited to go,
Absolutely. And matchups matter. I mean, scoring this or doing that against, certain teams, it's always about who you do it against, and matchups matter. And that's what, this premier event brand is being built around is, hey, everybody gets in the gym and let's get the best matchups. Nobody ducks anybody. And so we're excited about the Northeast one. Prime Event East, and I mean, it's loaded. There's more stuff coming out, so check that schedule. It'll be live streamed. I know college coaches will be definitely watching that, just because of the matchups. And so, but hey, a little wrap on the spring real quick, since we really haven't had one last couple months. Real quick, just overall thought from the spring. I'm not going to go into players and all that kind of stuff, but overall thought from the spring. What you got, Jay?
First and foremost, it's good to be back. So you could see that the vibe in the gym, and we kind of put our toes in the water a little bit there early on, and then people were getting more and more comfortable as the weeks go by, and we begin to feel normalcy again. So that's the first thing I would say. Secondly, I would say there's good and bad to it. You could see rust. You could see that kids that just weren't able to play a lot of games or against a lot of competition because of the COVID restrictions of the winter and shortened high school seasons and that. But you also see fresher legs, right? And so you could tell there was more bounce, particularly I would say here in Texas, but also on the East Coast. You had kids that only played 10 games in some cases, or 5 games, whatever it may be. And then it was still reduced here in Texas. I mean, we played more in the rest of the country, but it was 20 to 25 games versus 35 to 40 games in most cases. Right. So you could see that. Lastly, it's easy to put on weight. You can see that a lot, right? And so when you're not playing every day and that kind of thing, you got to really watch the diet and that kind of thing, because that was the first thing I saw early, especially as people were having to get back in shape and shed a little bit. There's a lot of that. So again, it'll be interesting to see, does that mean less injuries because of less wear and tear? Or does the fact that you had to get yourself back in shape and all that, does that work to a detriment with some kids, physically? So a lot of that's going to be interesting to watch as the summer unfolds.
Yeah. What about you, Shane?
Piggybacking on Jason's thing, as far as getting through last year, I mean, into the spring, we have some national events now. We have people coming from all over the place, whereas they were relatively regional last year. We had a few teams willing to travel, but if they did, it was regional travel or whatever. So like in the spring, I went, in what would be the viewing period, I went out to Boo for 2 days, and it was great to see those teams compete. And you can see the people who have maybe not spent so much time playing as they've done practicing, and some of that you can see in the play. I saw some really good basketball. You've given people a chance to communicate. The ones who have learned how to take advantage of these new tools that everybody's using, like Zoom, like some other things that they're doing, watching film with their teams, you can see some growth in some games. And then unfortunately, not to be negative, but you see the ones that don't. And, what it really stands out to me is I've seen pieces now. I wasn't live at Under Armour, but I've seen some of those teams like Prime Event. I went to Prime Event Prime Event South. Saw, obviously Arizona Elite last weekend, and then watched some of the Prime Event or the Under Armour thing from the spring on film. We talked about this the first year. It's like a little bit of the Under Armour effect. And so you've got the top of each league's pretty good. The middle of each league, I'd like to see a matchup. The bottom third of each league, a little bit of a struggle. Mm-hmm. So again, not to knock shoes or do anything, but what it's going to do is it's a competitive environment. So you've got to be able to offer something as your club that's not a brand. Because as we've seen with a little bit of changes, you can change you could change shoe brands, but your quality is going to be similar. It's not it's got an appeal and it gives you a little buzz. But if you are marketing your team, or if the foundation of your team is a shoe brand, I think you're making a huge mistake, because it doesn't guarantee you success. And so right now we're seeing there's options. People love options, especially, more and more. And you're seeing the talent spread out a little bit. Now, two things to look at that. Talent spread out means you've got to be strategic in your scheduling to go seek out when you need to have your iron sharpens iron moment. It's not iron sharpens iron just because you're playing a shoe team. Trust me, I saw plenty that's less than water. Like, it's just whatever works, show up, get beat, go home. That's not the matchup you're looking for anymore. So you've got to be smarter in your scheduling. And yeah, talent's a little spread out, and people say there's more talent, but guess what? That doesn't mean there's more opportunities for the next level. The opportunities for the next level are similar, if not less, currently, because of this horrible decision to give an extra year preemptively to people, which consequently flipped the transfer portal. I would argue double, because of people's gamble year and the fact that if they didn't like it midway through the year, they were like, well, this year doesn't count anyway, and I don't want to be a part of this anymore because it's hard. Like, that's going to bite people later, or it's going to bite the people that are currently in the transfer portal that aren't getting out. So just keep that in mind. Like, the stages are nice. The shoes and the sponsorships and the things are nice. The talent is still the talent, and the opportunities are still the opportunities. So you still got to work to separate. And there's no guarantee. You could have the coolest mixtape. You could have the coolest highlight tape. You can have the greatest stats. It doesn't mean there's more opportunity because you're in a brand. So seek out the matchups, and I'm just never going to get off that horse, especially now. And so that's what I kind of learned from the spring is I like it. And then you go, man, I'd like to see this kid play that kid. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, I'd like to see Maya Verse play, and I'm drawing a blank. I hate when I do stuff like this. Like Olivia McGee, like two perimeter oriented, you know what I mean? Like, I'd like to see those two play against each other just because they're differing styles. One maybe more traditionally skilled now, one plays way harder than the other. Mm-hmm. But you compete like in between the lines, like figure it out. You know what I mean? It's just, I'd like to see those things. And so we want to create those environments where those things are possible. And I mean that as a compliment to both of them. They're just contrasting styles, So it's just the two that kind of popped in my head right away. I'd like to see Aaliyah Giles play Chance Gray. Jason wrote a really good article about why matchups matter. I'll share it when we put this out. I'll put it back out again. That's exciting to me. Like, it's a new age kind of thinking, and so it's exciting to me. So I was a little long-winded, but like, that's what I learned in the spring.
Well, yeah, and we'll put a link to the article in the show notes. But I mean, it is, matchups matter. I mean, we go to a lot of events and it's like, okay, but really, how good is she? Because there's no other BCS kid on the floor. Like, okay, where really you get measured when it's BCS kid versus BCS kid or kid. You said conflicting styles, and that's really where, as a player, you want to measure yourself, not just for the ranking side, but you want to measure yourself and look at it and go, really, how good am I? Or how good can I
grow? That's how you grow. Like, no one got better because an opinion said it. Right. Like, at the Final Four, they don't line you up and be like, all right, well, you came with 7 opinions and you didn't. No, like, Arizona's still coming to beat you.
Mm-hmm. Right. And
that's how it works.
And you know what? You're gonna get matched up and you're gonna get knocked down. And then you turn around and stand back up and go, you know what? But I'm gonna go again. And I'm going to adjust and I'm going to grow and my game's going to get better. And then you may beat them. And I mean, you see it in boxing all the time, or in MMA when there's like, such and such versus such and such, 1, 2, the trilogy, the third one, because they adjust and you see who gets better and adjusts and goes back and studies and who doesn't. And so I can't stress that enough, but man, it is good to be back. I think once everybody realized that, hey, July, we're going to have NCAA evaluation periods, like the excitement is building. And I know college coaches are really excited to get out. Everybody's ready to get back into the gym. It'll be interesting to watch, just how everybody reacts with COVID and stuff, some of the restrictions at some events. But I mean, it's just an excitement to be there, and to be, back to where we're at. So, but hey, we're going to take a quick break and we'll be back after this.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Athlete Vision Sports presents the most advanced new recruiting engine on the market today. Athlete Vision records all your big tournaments on high definition video. You can show your A game to a nationwide audience, create your own player profile, or upload your own highlight videos. College recruiters have instant access to your tournament videos. Let Athlete Vision catapult you to the next level. Sign up for Athlete Vision today.
Once again, thanks to all the teams that came out to Prime Event West this past weekend, and all the teams that we've had the opportunity to see this spring. Really been able to see a lot of good basketball, and looking forward to the end of June and through July. The excitement from players, clubs, college coaches, parents, everybody's excited for July and to get back on the road. Eval periods, and so we're excited to see everybody play, and excited to catch up with college coaches around the country. So appreciate you tuning in. For Shane Laflin, Jason Key, I'm Mark Williams, and we're coming to you from the baseline.